Hello, friends. Happy Friday from Connecticut. Do you know who your authentic self is? If yes, how often are you letting that part of you, that innate part of you, be who you are, be how you show up? For me personally, I was the people pleaser, the chameleon, the one who adapted to the environments, to the people around her. I tried to be what I perceived other people wanted me to be. I didn't know who my authentic self was. So I want to share a couple ways that you can not only discover who's your authentic self, but allow other people to get to know that part of you. Really, that is like the essence of who you are. It's who you've always been. It's innately in you. And it's so wonderful to be able to allow that to be, because not only are you more vibrant, everyone around you gets to experience the real, true, beautiful, authentic you. And the best people to have in our lives are the ones who celebrate who we are, who like who we are, who don't just live out of freedom and transparency themselves, but they want us to do the same. They're not trying to control. They're not trying to manipulate. They're not trying to have you be a certain way so that they can feel comfortable. I love being around people who encourage the authentic parts of us. And let me break it down for you. How you can illuminate that authentic part of you is by slowing down your pace and establishing boundaries. You might say, how is that all connected? When we slow down, think about the times when we're actually busy because we're trying to keep our mind off of things. We are disconnected, and sometimes purposely. And that can be, for a time and a season, a way of coping, of surviving, of getting through. And I recognize that. But when it becomes a lifestyle, that's different. That means the authentic you is not only suppressed, but you don't get to enjoy the benefit of being comfortable as yourself, and other people don't even get to know who you really are. They don't get the benefit of your beautiful self, because really you have so much to offer uniquely that nobody else offers in the same way. And even when we think about the fact that there are similar types of people, right? I've been the people pleaser. You might say, I identify with that, Corrine. Adjusting what I say and how I say it and how I show up and how I act to ensure people are comfortable or that people will like me, or to not disrupt the peace, to blend in. Okay, and there's those of us that are all that sort of way. But we are each also uniquely an individual. There are things about you that are very different than about me, and it's a wonderful, beautiful thing. It makes life so much more colorful. And so, slowing down allows whatever is below the surface to bubble up. And that can be uncomfortable. That can be downright scary. And I understand that. But what bubbles up to the surface is actually meant to be an indicator. It's meant to help you discover what's going on below the surface. So if there's anxiety, if there's intrusive thoughts, if there's feelings of hopelessness, depression, just a sense of a dread, there are reasons for that. And until we allow what's in the subconscious to come to the conscious level, we can't do things with it. We can't do something about it. So that's a way to help you start to discover, who are you authentically? What is that innate part of you? And then for other people, an easy way for them to get to discover who you authentically are is through you establishing boundaries, creating limits for yourself and other people so that they know what to expect from you. They actually know who you are because you've set a pattern for them to understand. So say, for example, you're the people pleaser type, and your pattern has been that you say yes to everything, that you don't consider your own needs, your own energy level, or your schedule for the day. Someone asks you to do something and you're like, sure, without even thinking. And then afterwards you're like, that's like not going to work well. My whole day is going to be rushed. You feel internally resentful or frustrated. All right, now that person perceives you to be a certain way, but actually it may not be who you authentically are, because authentically, right, do they know you're feeling that internal frustration? Do they know that now you're hurried and rushed? Not if you don't tell them. And it's not about telling them necessarily. It's about pausing before we respond to actually evaluate what's best for us right now, what's best for our day, maybe what's best for our children. Because if you have littles that are dependent on you, that matters. And so as we establish boundaries, we help people to know what to expect. If they know that you're the type of person who's going to pause, who may not be able to give them an answer right away, but when you give them an answer, you're not going to be internally frustrated or resentful. It's actually going to be something you can do with positivity, enthusiasm, because you recognize it's something you are able and wanting to do. And you're not doing it out of obligation. And now, of course, there are times when we have to do these things, right? But when it's a pattern, when you always do things because you feel obligated, when you always do things and you feel internally frustrated and resentful, that's an indicator that something deeper is going on, and you deserve to look at it with curiosity, and you deserve to get some answers. Because I have a little one who just woke up from her nap. Because you should not have to live your life constantly feeling like you're being pushed to your limits or pushed past your limits or whatever the case might be. Now, the people who are going to be respectful of our boundaries will recognize that, okay, even if you've been the people pleaser and you're changing, they can accept that. It may take a little time, but they can accept that and say, I want her, I want him, I want them to be who they need to be. And I maybe feel inconvenienced by their decision, but I respect it. The persons who are controlling, manipulative, who really liked you being the chameleon people pleaser may not be so happy about those boundaries you start putting in place, especially if you stick with them. And that will determine the status of your relationship. And it is okay that all relationships don't work out. All relationships are not for our benefit. And again, this isn't just about what's beneficial to us, what's good for us. No, I'm speaking to the person who is overly caring, who doesn't consider their needs normally. They just consider everyone else's needs. Of course, it's important to be kind and helpful and empathetic and flexible, of course. But when you are always the one who flexes, there are times when you should be able to be rigid. And so, boundaries allow other people to get a window into who we authentically are, and giving ourselves space and time to slow down allows us to discover who we authentically are. Now, if you want to look into all of this more, you want to grow in these areas, you want to discover who am I authentically and how can I let that authentic me live. We are talking about all these things in depth in Deepen. Deepen is my group program, and the summer edition is starting soon. We will have 8 group sessions. Group sessions are a deep and connected time where we share heart to heart. Yes, I talk about certain topics, these ones I just brought up, but it's not about you just listening to me. It's about us connecting, talking about our struggles, talking about what is working for us, what we might need some support and accountability in, and what's going on the heart level. And because I'm intuitive and because I do inner child work, I often will speak to people's inner child in a heart-to-heart way, in a way that is transformative on a cellular level. You will experience deep transformation if you work with me, whether that's through Deepen or through one-on-one support, because I am able to connect in a unique way with your heart, with your inner child, with your inner self. So I would be honored to have you join. There will only be 10 or less people there for a great deep connection for space and time for everybody to share, everybody to ask questions, everybody to be given attention. And it'll run throughout the summer because of vacation. There'll be a couple weeks we don't meet, but all of our meeting times will be on Tuesday evenings from 7:15 to 8:30 Eastern. There will be recorded replays. If you cannot attend the live, you can still ask your questions in advance, but be there if you really want to, enjoy that deep connection. So if you have further questions, if you want to chat more about slowing down, establishing boundaries, or discovering this authentic part of you, Deepen is the place to be. And I hope that you know in this moment, that your heart knows that who you authentically are deserves to be given space to be. That you deserve to get to be true to yourself. That the innate parts of you that are longing to be unlocked deserve to be unlocked. And there are those of us, I speak for myself, that we want to experience who you authentically are. We like real people. We like what's true. I'm telling you, even when people tell me their deepest, darkest secrets, they tell me what they think is so messy, what they feel is so broken. I see the beauty in them. I feel the beauty. Thousands of people have shared things with me that they either didn't feel safe and comfortable to share with other people, or they've shared with other people and they felt a lot of shame. And it's just been a really hard experience for them. But when you share it with me, you're going to experience not judgment, but love. This doesn't mean that I suggest we stay in patterns that are toxic for us. It means that I'm not uncomfortable with what is real. I'm not afraid of what is true. I think what is true and what is real is the most beautiful, no matter what it is. And so I invite you in, not only to deepen, but to stick around and to keep coming back, because I like it when you're here.